How's it going? I had a post that I made yesterday about if you are an internet marketer and you want to get better at selling. I would forget about copywriting books and read this instead. I posted this link yesterday, and what it was a link to the Apple guidelines for software developers for iOS on how to basically create human-computer interfaces. I think it was called user interfaces. So I got into a lengthy discussion yesterday with my friend Zach, who is a co-author on the Super Traffic Machine manuals and is a member of my team. And we share similar views. I mean, he took actually some training. He had some training in design as well. So I think a lot of people probably were confused by it. I know that it's not. It probably doesn't make sense without a proper explanation. So basically, a long time ago, I came across this fantastic manual from Apple. It was actually much older than I thought it was. It was written, the first edition of this manual is called, let me get you the actual name of it so that if you like to look it up later. It's called the Apple II Human Interface Guidelines. That's the original one. It's the pre-release version, actually. It was published in September 1977. It says document dates of record, September 1977 to March 1985. So this goes back to the original Apple, the one before, they went full on graphical. And in fact, they actually, the chapter about the graphical interface is further down. It's further into the book. But why do I think that this is what you should be reading instead of copywriting books? Well, you have to understand the history of direct response marketing. Direct response marketing is a very old school way of selling. They used to, back in the old days, before there was all this technology of the internet, they used to send out direct mail to people, and that was how they sold to people. And people didn't have a lot of things to do other than sit around reading. That was kind of how you passed time. You listened to the radio, you read, and today, a lot fewer people are reading, and when we read, we're doing most of our reading on our computers, and there's a lot more skimming than reading. So this has really changed how people consume information and how much time we have to consume information. And I think that these guys, when they came online, what they did was, they took that crappy print medium that they had, and they just transferred it to the internet and said, okay. And they had no technological background. They didn't actually, but instead of learning how to work with the technology that was around or that is around, they created a culture in which they just wanted to fight the technology and recreate the direct mail in computers, which is absolutely stupid. Take, for instance, Ryan Deiss's idiotic invention. I'm sorry, idiotic. The sales page, the video sales letter. Okay, that is one of the stupidest things that I have ever heard of. And by the way, don't take much. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in a lot of what Ryan Deiss teaches. He just manufactures a lot of shitty products that don't actually necessarily describe realities. He decides that this is something that he's going to make a product about because it makes money, because he wants to make money with it, and he puts it out. So this is one of his shittiest ideas. If you are not familiar with it, what it is basically he takes a written long-form sales letter and he narrates it, and on the screen there's no picture of him, there's no video of him. It's just a really cheap, basically the same words written in a video. It's not moving, there's nothing about it. It's just like little blocks of paragraphs that he puts on the video and he reads it to you. Now, the shitty thing about it is that it's a crappy video, so it's not really taking advantage of the video medium as a form of communication. It's just a stupid way to make use of video. But putting that aside, the idiotic thing about it is he removes control to so you cannot see how long the video is. You cannot pause the video. You cannot fast forward it. You can't do anything about it. You got to sit down and watch his stupid presentation. You got to watch him ramble on for 2 hours, making you this pitch. And then at the end of it, when he decides, he'll show you the price and the order button. So you don't even get the chance to buy if you got sold on it 30 minutes into the stupid presentation. Now, to me, this is a stupid invention. We're in the year 2021, okay? Our computers do things that we never, the people who invented them didn't imagine that they would be able to do, okay? We carry in our pockets and on our wrists computers that are far more powerful than what used to take up entire rooms inside of office buildings, right? There's more power in that. We have more power at our disposal than the computing that they had available to them to get man to the moon, all right? And so it is stupid of us to now go and say, nope, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to force people to sit in front of their computer and watch my oh-so-important sales presentation. Like the only choice that they have is to sit and watch your dumb presentation and buy your dumb product. When in reality, they have another choice that is always open to them. Hit the back button and give you the fucking finger. Because you're a dick. You don't understand how they want to use their computer, and you're trying to give them an experience that is awful. Now, if you look at squeeze pages, is another one. Just the other day, I had a colleague of mine. He said to me, Elementor is just really not intuitive. It's really annoying. I don't know what to do with it. And I said to him, well, what's the problem? What are you struggling with? Because it's actually a pretty, a pretty intuitive thing. It's better than ClickFunnels. It's an easier to use interface than ClickFunnels as far as I'm concerned. So what are you struggling with? And he said to me, I guess I'm having trouble figuring out how to start with a blank page. Now, this is something that is reasonably easy to do, by the way, in Elementor, so I showed him. But this is a common complaint, not necessarily about Elementor, but this is what all the marketers want to do. If you look at like cart flows, for instance, one of the plugins that is written by marketers, the default setting on it is to erase everything on the canvas and give you a blank page to work from. That is not intuitive when you're looking at a website and how people use a website, right? You're removing navigation. You've taken away navigation and you're saying, no, all you're going to do is this task. Well, guess what navigation does for you? I remember when we were, when I started out with this internet marketing stuff, all the direct response marketer types, right? They would say to you, don't waste the top of the page, the above the fold with a header and a logo and navigation bar. That's stupid. You got to get straight to the headline, right? Well, guess what? Most people will see the logo and they'll see the navigation, they'll perceive it, but they will ignore it. Most people are not sitting there looking at, studying your logo or your the top of your page. They have banner blindness to this stuff, okay? But the reason that you put it on there is to let them know that they are part of a consistent experience. You're still on my website. You're still in the same place that you entered. That's what it gives you. That is what it gives people. It gives them recognition that I'm in the same place. Okay, that's what a header and a header navigation does. That's one. Number two, navigation is not your enemy, my friend. If you look in the website manual, we talk about this idea a lot. Navigation is not the enemy. If you've done things right, you created your content, your website in such a way that that everything that you place there is an answer to somebody, and it gets people back to the point of doing an action that results in purchase. So somebody who lands on your landing page, if they click on your, if they click on your navigation instead of doing your primary call to action, buying your shit, opting into your mailing list, right? If they navigate away, what are they navigating to? He clicks on your home button. Well, he wants to take a look at, you're answering a question by offering him the home button. You're giving him an alternative to hitting the back button. When he looks at this and he goes, I'm not ready to fill out my email address. I'm not ready to give you my credit card information. All right. What choice do I have? If you give me no choices, I'm going to hit the back button and look at another site, because there's plenty of them. I know that there's plenty of sites that I could go to, alternatives where I could do stuff. So instead of allowing me to click the back button, give me some options. What might be on my mind at this point? Who are you guys? Who are you? If they click the About button or the About link on your navigation, they can see what that answer to that question is. Oh, okay. Maybe then when they get to that page, it's not the enemy. If you're smart, you've created some other ways to pull them back into your process. Okay? The About page itself could end with, hey, contact us. You want to learn more about what we do, get on our mailing list. Okay? So this is what I mean. You always have a way to bring them back into your process. But it's not the enemy to navigate away from your site, About Us. Suppose they click on the Contact Us link. What are they looking for? Perhaps they want somebody to talk to. Why are you going to hide that from them? Give them a phone number. Give them a mailing address. Give them an email. Let them fill out a contact form. All of this stuff can result in a sale. Why are you hiding your contact information? If they click your privacy policy, buddy, they just want to know, what are they getting into when they give you their email address? Give them some answers. Okay? If you do those things, you're answering questions for these people. You're predicting, which is what human interface design is all about. That is why I say read these kind of books. They will teach you concepts of influence, but from a computer standpoint, from a today standpoint, what people expect from their computers. People expect that when they land on a site, on a page, they have some navigation options. They look for the navigation bar. If you don't have one, you're being a dick. I expect that every site that I land on has a Contact Us page. I often click on the Contact Us page because I want to know who's behind this. I want to know which country is this service or this product or whatever coming from. Sometimes I want to know this information. I want to know which country are you from, because that could make a difference on my decision. Now, let me put that aside. Let's talk about some actual, real things that I have done that have improved sales that have nothing to do with copywriting. And by the way, all the stuff that you're going to do with your copywriting, you can sit there and scream, read me, motherfucker, and nobody gives a shit because you're just screaming. You're just screaming. I mean, sorry, if I'm sending a daily email to you, and every single email I send to you has a subject line that says, basically, I have the most interesting thing in here, please open me. I even go to the extent of saying, must read me, read this. Okay, those kind of instructions, because these are the power words. I'm giving you a command. Okay? If I did this the first day, maybe you'll respond. But if I do this every day, you're not going to. The reality is that nobody reads every single email that they get, even from their friends. I sometimes get emails that I actually care about, and I don't open them because I already know what's in them. Okay, you got a sale. Oh, the fulfillment people told me that they confirmed the order. Or they confirmed that they've sent out the stuff. I don't need to open the email. I care. If I didn't get it, I'm going to be contacting them. Hey, why didn't I get, why didn't you send me a confirmation? Has the stuff gone out? I care that, I received money, for instance, but I don't need to open the email. So the reality is, even with things that we care about, we don't open the emails sometimes. And so I don't write my emails, but I write my emails understanding that this is how people use their email. Okay? So I'm going to give you some real examples. So just so you get what I'm talking about. I have a campaign in which I observed people arriving on the site. So there were a couple of usability issues with it. Okay? So we have this page and it's selling this product, and it's selling to cold traffic. So I've got I use a tool to basically observe how people use the page, how people use the site, and so I watch. I'm like, okay, why are we not getting more conversion here? Rather than go tweak the headline and make it scream a little bit more, use a little bit more bold and italics and all that stuff. I was like, well, what's happening? So I watch what people are doing on the site. What are they doing? One of the things I observed was they would click the checkout button. So there was a button to basically get to buy the product. They click the button, they go to the order page, and then they read on the order page, and then they click the back button. What do you think that means? Oh, yeah, maybe they clicked the button and they realized that there's something for sale. They clicked the button because they wanted to, they didn't know that something was for sale. When they clicked the button, they got there and like, oh, okay, there's something for sale. Sure, that could happen. Perhaps they clicked the button and then found that the price was too expensive. Perhaps. But no, because I'd keep watching, and these people would go back and they would look on the page that brought them to the checkout. And they would read in the section where I tell them what they're going to get. And then they click back. And they go back to the order page again. And they look there. And then they don't buy. What's going on? What they're doing is they are checking that for a match between what was offered and what they are buying, what they would be buying when they buy it, when they hit the button. And when they don't go ahead and buy, there's obviously, they think that there's a mismatch. Now, I look at it closely. I'm like, well, the same products, the same, what you get section, all the stuff that is mentioned there is mentioned on the order page. So what's the deal? It's mentioned. And I was like, oh yeah, it's probably recognition. So what I did was I created some visual representation of each of the things that was being offered. Okay. And I put that, because this is recognition, is basically to be able to see it and know. You don't have to compare, because I can just see, just from one instant look, I can see it's the same thing. So I put a visual representation of each of the things that they get, and I put them there. And then I went on the order page and I put the same pictures over there. Instant improvement in response. Recognition. That's not something that your direct response copywriter is teaching you. That's not something that is a tweak of the words on the page. Okay, here's another one. I had a landing page in which it's a hybrid page, so it has two options. One of them is the free option, get on our mailing list, and the other option is the checkout page. And I watched people again as they used. Actually, I didn't have to watch this one. I knew, but anyway, you can imagine somebody getting to this page where you're seeing these options multiple times, and you'll see this sort of thing also with upsell pages where people will change the yes copy. Yes, I want such and such a product, or yes, I want to add such and such to my list. I want to lose tons of weight, or I want to get less bold or improve my golf swing, or whatever it is. And then they'll change it around. So every time you see, it's the same call to action, but it's changing all the way down the upsell page. Well, we had this on a hybrid page, and so there's two choices. It's either join the mailing list or buy the product, okay? So this is in the first block, it shows it. In the second block, it shows it. The third block, it shows it. The problem is that the button changes as caption every time, number one, and the buttons keep changing the color and style. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, this looks like I've got 15 choices on here instead of 2, right? This looks like 15 different choices instead of just 2. Well, somebody's reading this page, they see that they have 2 choices, but they're not ready to act, and they scroll down, they keep reading. By the time they reach the end of the page, they understand that I had 2 choices. Which one of those, now it's time for me to make a decision. Which of these 2 choices am I taking? But if they read your page and they scrolled down, they kept scrolling down, and each time they saw the decision changed the wording around and changed the style of the buttons, guess what? It looks like they had 15 choices. And now it's not a decision between 2 things, but a decision between 15. So what I did was I went back and I ensured that every button was styled in exactly the same. If it represented the same choice, it was the same color, it had the same text, it looked exactly the same. Major improvement in response. way more than you could ever possibly get with any kind of headline tweak. Here's another one. I was working on a client campaign in which the buttons were drawn like it was upsells. This was on the upsells. They had these giant buttons that spanned across the entire window, especially on the desktop. On the mobile and the tablet, it also looked kind of stupid. Button was really big. It doesn't look like a fucking button. So what I do is, and by the way, another point on this one, hyperlinks. I deliberately do not underline things in anything that I do unless it is a hyperlink. And I don't like hyperlinks that are not underlined. If I have a hyperlink, I'm going to underline it. If it's not a hyperlink, it's not underlined. Because guess what? People recognize this as a clickable thing. All right? Buttons are the same thing. So what I did was I took these buttons and I shortened them. I took all the other extra text that was put inside. I put it outside the damn button, and I shortened the button so it's nice, small, it looks like a button. I gave it some curved corners, rounded corners, and I gave it a little bit of a shadow so it pops outside the page. Now it's recognizable as a button, and people understand I can click this. But when it's this giant thing and it's a call to action, you think you're really clever because you managed to say this beautiful copy in this ugly ass thing that doesn't look like a button. Guess what? Nobody's clicking it, not because your copy didn't sell them. They didn't click it because they didn't recognize it as a button that can be clicked. All right. What other examples do I have for you? Upsells. So one of the things that people typically do in an upsell page is they will give you the no option is extremely, negative, and it's really hard to find it, and it's made really small and gray and in small text and just really difficult to see because they want you to take the upsell, and they think by forcing you to see only the upsell and not to see the downsell, the no, then you'll be able to increase your conversion. Well, what I did was I went through and I changed all of these, and I said, no, we have downsells to sell, and people are here. I recognize that when people get to an upsell page, they've made a purchase, now they're being offered something. What they're expecting is not to be offered something else. What they're expecting is to see an order summary that confirms the fact that their purchase has gone through, that they can access their purchase, they can print their receipt, whatever it is, all the stuff that you would expect at the end of this. I know that people want this. And this is the only reason anybody bears through all of the upsells that people throw at them, that marketers throw at them. So what most marketers will do is say something to start with. The page begins with something like, wait, your order is not complete. Read this page. If you close this page, this offer will never, you'll never see this page again, or something like that. This offer will never be available to you again. Well, hang on a second. I just got a notification on my phone. I just got the ding from my email telling me that my order went through. And now you're telling me over here that my order is not complete? What happened? Why am I not seeing, that looks like an error to me. It doesn't look like a secondary offer. It looks like an error. Now I'm going to be contacting my bank. I might be contacting support. I'm panicking. I'm not really happy with the experience. And guess what? You don't have to do that to get somebody to pay attention to your upsell. You can say, hey, thanks for the order. That went through. Why don't you read this message to get an exclusive discount on your order or something like that. That makes a lot more sense to me. It's not as pushy or as forceful. Sure, it might not get as good perhaps it won't get as good a conversion rate. Perhaps, I don't know. But the thing about it is that it doesn't confuse anybody into thinking that their order didn't go through. Okay? So they're not panicking now about that. They're like, okay, they're taking the time reading this page. They're possibly considering your offer at this point. Well, the extremely negative, I mentioned the extremely negative rejection of the offer, and the very difficult to see links. This is really silly. If you have a downsell offer, so if they say no, you have an offer, an alternative offer to them that you want to make. then it's not really difficult to, it is not in your best interest that you don't make it clear for them that they can say no to this offer and see a different one. Okay, so what I do with this is I say things like, no thanks, I don't need this, or something like this. I don't need this, just take me to the next step, or something of that sort, or take me to my order summary, which I know is what people are expecting and what people want. And just by doing that, you've improve that experience, that user experience, and you've increased, and this is what we did, this is what I actually, by doing this particular move, I increased the number of people who bought, like we increased the average customer value, because instead of people buying the product, having a panic moment when they see the upsell page, and then leaving, abandoning the process to go deal with, sending an email to support or making a call or whatever it is, to their bank, they are now actually focused on the offer. So we ended up getting more people taking us up on downsells that were never selling before, just by doing that move. And we had more people taking us up on the upsells, especially the higher end upsells, because they reached the damn page. They actually arrived at the page which had the highest, most expensive upsell. All right. And all of this has nothing to do with copywriting. All of this is about user experiences. It's all about interfaces. Read these books. Read these books. They are free. They are available to you. And Apple is the best at and I'm not usually an Apple advocate in terms of the computers and stuff. But they actually were the ones who innovated on this the most. This is how they gained their reputation. And this is a seminal work. The Apple II Human Interface Guidelines, 1985, it's like one of the earliest works. It might feel a little bit too old for you. It's written on this on the old fonts and stuff, but it's got like some of the really basic ideas. And you will find, as you go through it, you'll find that they're describing especially if you understand some of the copywriting and influence stuff. When you read this stuff, you'll translate it automatically. You'll be like, oh yeah. I'll give some examples in the later on about this, I guess, because I haven't got any prepared right now. But there are multiple iterations of this. They've been creating this manual since 1985. There's the 2000 and 2001 versions are also pretty good. They talk about the Apple Apple operating system, and then you've got the ones about the iOS systems. And they go all the way up to about now. And so you'll find that these are not really necessarily created for programmers. They're just guidelines to tell people, how do people expect to use their computers? How should you interact with them? I'm going to read you. I wish I could find this section. All right, let's leave it alone. Let's leave it for another time. But yeah, there's some really great ideas in here that you'll find, and you'll be able to translate them so well into creating basically what is in the end a website is an interface. It's an interface, a user interface on the web. Okay, that's what it is. It's a user interface on the web, and you have to make that experience a friendly one, a smooth one. I'm going to give you one page to look at. This page is absolutely beautiful. Okay, it is essentially a long form sales letter. And by the way, long form sales letters are shit in terms of usability, but they're certainly better than that idiotic video sales letter idea. The website is remarkable.com. Take a look at this. It is essentially, like I said, a long-form sales letter, but it's just done in such a 2021 friendly way. I like, for instance, how they have the video, but they like a demo video, but they don't show the video taking up space. That placeholder. It's not shown. It's just a button, play, and then it tells you how many seconds it is. 45 seconds. And so you don't have a problem clicking that button and watching the video, and the video gets across, it conveys the message that's in the text before it so much better. Take a look at it. It's a beautiful, like in terms of user interfaces, this is a beautiful page. It's amazing. Like you'll find yourself wanting to buy the product at the end of it. I'm almost certain of it. All right. All right. Until the next video, talk later. Bye.